Hi, friends. Well, here I am on my second day off from the performances. I have just spent essentially 2 days, day and a half, hanging out with my brother, which was fantastic. I really have this sense. It's been an interesting couple days because it's towards the end of the run. This process is really getting close to conclusion now. I mean, I go back to the show tomorrow, and we have a show tomorrow, Thursday and Friday. And that's it. We don't even have the full weekend because of the way the schedule worked out. And I, it was really great to have some brother time. It was really great. And it has been also an opportunity to just kind of look at and to some degree talk about this, to some degree talk about where I am and what's next. And we had a lot of opportunities to kind of talk about like what I've mentioned on this post for several days or weeks now, about feeling like I want to be advancing a project over which I have real creative ownership at all times, however large or small that might be, but just keeping it going, just keep putting one foot in front of the other on something, knowing that is the way to grow. And it was great because I got to talk to Bliss and sort of discuss that, and we decided that we want to be connecting around something as well, and we sort of have some loose plans for how that might, how we might start floating ideas in that department. And it all feels really good. I mean, the other, there's an element that's also showing up of and I think this is both a product of connecting with a family, close family member, and also a product of this, like as with any creative product, creative process, there's a phase like this where I feel it doesn't always result in this feeling, but it always results in a kind of a step forward of some kind. And in this case, that step forward for me looks like increased responsibility. Not in a, oh my God, I feel the weight bearing on me kind of way, but it's almost as though I feel like I've been empowered to take more responsibility and to actually embrace that, to simply let myself be more available for that, and accepting of that, and fully embrace it. It's not it's not something that is a problem. It's actually something that in a lot of ways, in a lot of ways, it's an affirmation. But I'd also be lying if I said it wasn't daunting in some ways. If I said it wasn't sort of I feel like I'm being called upon to be a bigger human, a better person, you know. Not that I'm feel like I'm being a bad person, but to just step up. And this is not strictly the product of conversations with my brother. This is a product of conversations with a couple key people, and also just this process, where I am landing, and what I feel. It's weird because it's almost like it's a dynamic. It's just an uplifting dynamic of the universe, and it's a challenge, and it's a provocation. It's a kind of a nudge, like, look what, you know, you can do this. Look at this clearly. See what's available here. And I want to just fully celebrate and embrace that, and just completely, you know, give myself to it with real total enthusiasm, which is not hard for me to muster. I'd be lying if I didn't sort of acknowledge the part of myself that apparently it's been a tiring couple days. But if I didn't acknowledge the part of myself that feels like it's not that I don't know what to do next. And I think as I lean into this more and more, my resistance kind of goes away. What I'm realizing, I think, what's crystallizing for me literally in this moment as I think this through, is the feeling that I've been talking about, and when I've spoken about, you know, in the creative process, when we don't have full creative responsibility for whatever reason, you know, if we're a collaborator or we're, you know, just working on a project or whatever, we have the capacity to offload that responsibility onto someone else, and however good or bad of a job they may be doing, however much their decisions align with what we think their decisions ought to be, wherever things stand in all those departments, we are not carrying that weight. And I think what I'm experiencing is, because I have now asked the cosmos for a step forward, I've kind of declared to myself and to the world, I want to live into a larger version of myself. I'm being given that. That is being granted. And part of what comes with that is a sense of, oh, you are actually carrying the weight now. It comes with that. and although it's still, I would say this is still a process that is I'm kind of mid transformation. Some of the contours and some of the ramifications of the process are becoming more clear. They're just becoming more and more evident, and I'm able to see them. I'm able to articulate them. I'm able to grasp what's happening. And of course, there are many levels on which I'm undoubtedly not grasping what's happening. I'm well aware that I'm not grasping everything. But to the extent that I am, there's an increased sense of, okay, you're carrying something now. In some ways, it's analogous to what I have experienced with having a family. where there's a kind of irrevocable shift into now Katie and I are living the life of two people who have a family, we have a child. And what that means, it applies pressure on our relationship unit, and in applying that pressure, it has transformed our relationship and continues to transform our relationship. It transforms us individually, it transforms us as a couple. And I mean, my God, if ever I if there was ever anything I was grateful for above everything else, it's that experience of having of the magic of having a family. But I also fully remember the beginning of that and what it felt like, and it was really kind of like, whoa. There's no going back. There's no putting it down. There's no. It's just it's a paradigm shift. And in a way, probably not quite as intensive a way as having a child, but in a similar way, I feel like that's kind of what's happening now in the creative realm for me, is that I'm being, in some ways, given responsibility. In some ways, I'm being handed a responsibility which remains somewhat amorphous and somewhat not concrete, but it's like I feel it energetically arriving without the tangible thing yet, but I feel the energy of it arriving. And it's a similar sense of, okay, you asked for this, now you're carrying this. Here's what that feels like. Here's what that initially kind of feels like, and it's an interesting feeling because it's there is weight to it. It's like an added weight to carry, and it's like a pile of gold is falling into my life. And guess what? A pile of gold has some weight to it. It's like, but it's both this incredibly elevating and expanding and stabilizing energy, and it draws upon precisely the parts of myself that I most desire to amplify and lean into, and it's calling on me to let go of some parts of myself that have not served, that are not to judge them in the past, but are not serving me now, that have to go. They just have to go. Parts of me have to go in order to withstand, in order to remain in integrity, in other words, in order to maintain structure and health. We talk about this in Qigong all the time. When you apply force to a body, you know whether that body has integrity. If things slip out of alignment, then you need to work on that. Then you got to go back to basics and find that foundation so that the body can withstand force. Well, it's like literally just what's happening just on the energetic level. And so out of that also arises an excitement, even as it feels like there's an added weightiness. It also feels like there's an added dimension of excitement, because I'm growing, I'm changing. Something is changing here. I'm not the same person I was before. I'm not even living in the same world. There's a shift happening, and that's just really exciting. And it feels great. It feels like this time with family and kind of the whole culmination of this process. It's all very, it feels like the fruition of something really powerful, and I just feel really grateful for it. So that's where I am, and I'm sure it will become more concrete and more, I'll be able to share more specifics as things continue to change, but that's what's coming through right now, and it's pretty cool. pretty amazing to feel the universe answering a call in that way. So I appreciate you folks. Love you very much. You mean the world to me. This conversation means the world to me. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. See you soon.